Welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving deep into ancient scriptural texts to decode the chronological biography of the ultimate cosmic adversary. We're going to map out a massive narrative timeline today, tracing the origins, the strategies, and the ultimate downfall of a figure that has fascinated and frankly terrified humanity for millennia. Let's get right into it. So was this ultimate adversary always an evil being right from the very beginning? Let's just challenge that popular pitchfork and horns myths right out of the gate. To figure out the true origin of evil, we really have to look past centuries of pop culture caricatures and get straight back to the original texts. To ground our understanding, we have to look at the original language, and it's actually pretty surprising. In Hebrew, Satan simply means an adversary or an opponent, and over in Greek, diabolos translates to a slanderer or an accuser. What this reveals is that these names aren't the personal titles of some mythical monster. Rather, they describe a functional role. It's all about opposition and legal accusation. Now here is the grand timeline we are unpacking today. From the angelic test in eternity past to the archangel's fall, the creation of humanity, the human test in Eden, and finally the cross and redemption. Section 1. The archangel's glory and fall. Let's start way before humanity even existed. Look at this text from the book of Ezekiel. It describes a high-ranking, flawlessly beautiful, and incredibly wise being. It says, "You were the seal of perfection." This was an anointed guardian cherub, a top-tier angelic official holding immense authority. It completely shatters that modern pop culture image of a dark, ugly beast, doesn't it? But here is the crucial point. This entity was actually granted the power of free will. Just like us, the angelic beings were given a choice. And this beautiful guardian cherub ultimately failed the test. As Isaiah tells us, an intoxicating pride sparked this overwhelming desire to usurp the Creator. He didn't just want to serve, he literally wanted to sit on the throne himself and make himself like the Most High. Because he failed this ultimate cosmic test of free will, this majestic being was permanently cast down from his glorified state. And based on the historical theology we're analyzing, this event served as a massive, terrifying warning to all the other heavenly beings. The sheer horror of seeing such a perfect creature transform into pure malice pretty much ensured the remaining angels would never rebel. Section 2. Eden and Human Deception. This table illustrates a vital theological contrast that gets misunderstood all the time. While the angels were tested and fell individually, with absolutely no chance for redemption, humanity was tested and fell collectively, as representatives in Adam. Because our fall was representative, it left a critical margin. It left a fallen state, yes, but a pathway for another representative to eventually come and save us. Realizing he could never win a direct war against the Creator, the fallen archangel completely shifted his strategy. Think about it. If you can't hurt the Creator directly, what's your next move? You attack what the Creator loves most: us. The adversary weaponized his immense intellect and corrupted wisdom to deceive humanity, dragging them right into his own rebellion. And that brings us to the famous garden encounter, which is truly fascinating. Historical and visionary theological accounts suggest the serpent wasn't just a tiny, slithering snake in the grass. It was originally an imposing, magnificent, winged creature with scales. Think almost like a pterosaur or a dragon. It represented a terrifying physical manifestation of corrupted intellect and adaptable power. Section 3. The Cross. Stripping Satan's Power. Think of this part of the timeline like a giant cosmic courtroom drama. Before the cross, the adversary had actual legal leverage. He was the accuser, maintaining access to the heavenly courts to point out humanity's guilt and demand justice. If redemption failed, we would have been permanently lost to him. But because the price of sin was paid, the accuser completely lost his legal footing. His mouth was entirely shut. As Revelation tells us, stripped of his heavenly platform, the adversary was hurled down to the earth. He transitioned from being a cosmic prosecutor with high-level access to a desperate earthly antagonist whose clock is rapidly running out. Section 4. The Secret of Free Will. This massive shift in power brings us to a profound mystery. Why was humanity given the capacity to fail in the first place? Think of the human soul like a canvas. The text suggests that even though the fall stained the vast majority of human nature dark, rendering us inherently flawed, the Creator intentionally preserved a small, crucial seed of choice. It's not about human perfection. It's about possessing just enough agency to reach out for a lifeline. Why do that? Because true love simply cannot be programmed. The creator wanted a voluntary relationship based on genuine affection, not mechanical, robotic obedience. That preserved margin of choice is exactly what makes love real. And honestly, it's precisely why that tiny sliver of free will is so fiercely contested and attacked by the adversary today. Section 5. Spiritual Discernment for Victory. Now that we deeply understand the historical timeline, what about right now? Knowing his time is incredibly short, the texts describe the adversary unleashing a river from his mouth. This is a massive flood of worldly temptations, distractions, and intense persecutions meant to just sweep people away. His tactics have escalated from subtle deception to a full-on cultural and spiritual flood. To survive all of this, the source material highlights the absolute necessity of what is called in Korean Yeongbang-byeol, or spiritual discernment. This isn't just a vague gut feeling. It is an active, critical ability, an ultimate defensive and offensive tool to look right past the noisy surface of our physical and emotional lives and clearly identify the unseen strings being pulled in the background. So when you hit sudden, unexplainable anger, deep depression, or huge interpersonal conflicts, here are the steps we're taught to follow. First, look past the immediate symptoms. Second, identify that hidden spiritual background. And third, combat the root cause using spiritual authority. You don't fight back with human frustration. You respond with targeted spiritual insight. Ultimately, having this kind of spiritual sight completely changes how we interact with the world. We realize we aren't just fighting a flesh and blood. Instead of getting mad at the people around us, we recognize the unseen influence. This profound shift allows us to heal and restore others, rather than judging and condemning them. It turns believers from victims of circumstance into active, compassionate rescuers. I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. In your daily struggles, are you merely fighting the surface symptoms, or are you utilizing spiritual discernment to win the real, unseen battle? The next time you face an overwhelming, inexplicable challenge in your life, will you waste your energy fighting the shadow on the wall, or will you defeat the source? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking beyond the surface.